there, friends, and welcome into another Water Break Wednesday. My name's Drew Dougherty, and with me, as always, is my good pal, Deepi Sidhu. Deepi, how you doing today?
Great, Drew. It's Wednesday, Water Break Wednesday. We are in NFL game week mode. We're finally on a normal schedule, and I feel like I have not said that in a really long time.
Yeah. And there's still that asterisk by it because we're all working from home for the most part. Some of us get to go in the stadium from time to time. But it's a Water Break Wednesday presented by Crown Royal. We want to hear from you. Send us in your questions, your comments. Also, please let us know where you're commenting or questioning from, because we know the Texans fandom is worldwide. We've got folks across the pond, across the street, here in Spring Branch or Deepi and Bel Air, all over Houston and beyond. So send in those questions. We will get to them as soon as we can. And we want to remind you the Texans playing this Sunday at 3:25. Deepi, one of our good friends, did not know that. Thought it was a noon game, but it's a 3:25 kickoff against the Baltimore Ravens on CBS KHOU 11 here in Houston. So going to be fun. Not the typical Sunday game day because it's in the middle there. It's that afternoon game, but should be cool nonetheless to get things going for the home opener.
Yeah, Texans home opener. Obviously, no fans. It's the only home game the Texans will have in September. So hopefully the next time the Texans have a home game, maybe we'll have some different news. Things are still evolving and changing as we get through this pandemic. But in any case, I was in the stadium the other day shooting something, and I got a nice look at the field. It's all ready to go. The tarps are up. It looks amazing. It looks great to be back inside NRG Stadium for a football game in what seems like
I'm looking
really,
forward
really
to
long
it.
time. I'm excited.
I'm looking forward to it as well. And right off the bat, we've got uniform questions, which that's good. Marcus from Houston has one. Ryan from Ireland has another one. Ryan's is, would you like to see the color rush jerseys as the main jersey combo? Selfishly, yeah, I'd go with that. And then Marcus wants to know, will the Texans get new uniforms? No, they're not getting new uniforms anytime soon. I understand the question. I understand why people ask it, but it's not happening. Not going to be anytime soon. But yeah, I love the color rush jerseys. And I also like the battle red tops on the Liberty white bottoms. What about you, Deepi? You're into fashion. You're fashion forward.
Yes, I do like the color rush jerseys. I love the Texans record when they wear the color rush jerseys, but I feel like if it was their everyday jersey, it wouldn't be color rush anymore. But I see what you're getting at. I like the battle red, and I'm in the minority. I like the ketchup bottle look, the monochromatic
horrible
red jersey with the red pants. I feel like it was ahead of its time when the Texans used to do that. If you bring it back now, it would be just so in. And I feel like we've got some really fashionable players. I think Deshaun Watson could accessorize it really well and make it a thing again. I think we should bring back the ketchup bottles. Totally.
No thanks. I'm okay with it. We're not on Nantucket, so there's no need for the red pants. All right. Raymond has this one. How do you think the Texans will prepare for the Ravens? We've heard from Bill O'Brien already. We heard from him Monday. We heard from him this morning. He said the Texans need to have a good week. You always need to have a good week of practice, but he was very enthusiastic about what went down on Monday, said they had a good day of preparation. You got to remember, they had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to kind of rejuvenate the bodies. It wasn't the normal Sunday game, hop back into the week, a couple of days later. So they had a little bit of extra time. And that's also helped, he said, as far as injuries and getting healthy in the secondary. So look for that to be a factor on Sunday. You might see some different faces that did not get as much time Thursday night get more against the Ravens on Sunday, Deepi.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to play a Thursday night game, it's always a tough deal because you have a short week. So the Texans knocked their Thursday night game out of the way in week 1. So it wasn't really a short week. They didn't have a game that prior Sunday, but then they get the extra, like you said, 3 days of rest. They got back to work this week. I think some of the injuries that we'll be looking really closely at, Brandon Brooks should be practicing more this week. He was limited last week. He missed a day of practice. He was a total game time decision. A lot of us were wondering if he would even play in that week 1 opener. He says he's feeling good. That's obviously great news. And then, like you mentioned, the secondary, Bill O'Brien was asked about all the different guys that played in that secondary on Thursday night against Kansas City. And he said some of it had to do with injury. So, this week, the secondary is much healthier than it was in week 1. So, you can't wait to see what combinations they put out there against the Ravens team. You can't get healthy too soon against a tough opponent this week. But I think that, having the extra days of rest will do us good. I think the other thing to watch is he left that game early. So hopefully these extra days will benefit a lot of the players that sort of on the fringe.
Yeah, you brought up Brandon Cooks, the wide receiver, who he came into the game with a quad injury. We heard from him on Monday, Sounds like he's doing better. Sounds like he's going to be ready to go, and he's going to be a little bit healthier than he was coming into the last game. So if that's the case, you think, knock on wood, it opens up the offense quite a bit. Ryan wants to know, what do you think of the first game? Well, it was a stinker. I mean, the Texans said so. Bill O'Brien said so. It was not a good game. It was not a lot of fun. I myself was back in the stadium with you and with some of the folks that are helping run this Water Break Wednesday presented by Crown Royal. And I like that touchdown drive. That was cool. But I spent a lot of time yelling, cussing, like many of you out there watching, and it wasn't fun to watch. You know, it was tough. But it's one game. We've seen this before from the Texans where they struggle out of the gate, but then pick up steam as the season rolls along. It was one game, wasn't fun, but on the whole, it was good to have football back, Deepi.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're doing some things. It was unfortunately, like Bill O'Brien said, too little, too late. The offense got moving. It was inconsistent at times. Tackling was an issue. I mean, it was rusty. It was rough because no preseason games, no offseason program. It was not the way you want to come out in week one against the Super Bowl defending champs. I would have liked to see a closer game. I think what the Texans did last year in week 6 was such a great formula, controlling time of possession, just running the ball. They were unfortunately not able to do that because they just couldn't sustain drives early. So that sort of went by the wayside until they were able to sustain some drives. I don't think anyone was pleased with that performance. Yeah. I think the expectations after seeing what this team did in camp were climbing for us. I mean, we saw these wide receivers out there. We saw David Johnson out there. We really want to see what this offense can do. We want to see what Deshaun Watson can do. And hopefully, you know, they get things cleaned up and we can start seeing glimpses. We saw flashes of it in week 1. We'd like to see more of it and more consistent, obviously, moving forward.
Got some questions about players that are under contract with other teams. So I'm not going to say the names, but asking about a receiver that are the Texans going to be interested in, and I don't think so. So Kenneth wanted to know about that. No, Kenneth, they're not going after that guy. We can't really talk about players that are under contract with other teams.
Insert name here. Yeah.
Yes. Isaiah has this. Do you think Scotty Phillips will move up to the active roster? I'm going to guarantee it because it happened last week before the game. So Scotty Phillips, running back, undrafted rookie out of Ole Miss, got placed on the active roster before the game. So yeah, I mean, he has a shot and did a little bit of work last week. Daniel in Illinois has this. What happens if the Texans go 0-2? Well, they'll try to win that third game and go 1-2. You know, you could bring up what ifs, but the Texans are always going to, you know, try to win. So I don't know how to answer what happens if we go.
It's a tough way to start your schedule, of course. I mean, you start off against the Super Bowl defending champs and then a team that was, you know, your AFC champs last year. So, or you're the best in the AFC up until playoffs last year, 14-2 Baltimore Ravens. So, I mean, on the bright side, you kind of knock them out early, and then, you know, it's not something that's looming over, but you still have tough opponents coming up ahead. So the sooner they can get the things rolling, the better for them. I personally think after facing Patrick Mahomes, you face Lamar Jackson. You're sort of in that mode of facing these mobile quarterbacks, and you kind of know what didn't work in week 1. Hopefully, you know, you can improvise and add it to your arsenal in week 2. But this team has seen Lamar Jackson before. Bill O'Brien says it doesn't matter if you've seen him before. He's still going to be a challenge. And that, of course, is definitely true.
Yeah, this is a different beast, man. These Ravens, I think they just had the wrong day to have their worst day of the year last year against Tennessee. I think they played Tennessee 100 times. They beat them 95, 96, 97 times. I think Tennessee had a great day that day. Hats off to them. But I think Baltimore just stuff didn't go right for them on that day. And I think they were the best team in the AFC last year, but they had the wrong day to have the bad day. And sometimes that happens in sports. All right. Walter wants to know, how do you think the defense will stand up to the Ravens? We kind of touched on it a moment ago, but they've said discipline. They've got to be disciplined this week as far as defending against the run and in the secondary, defending the pass. Lamar Jackson is not just a great runner. He's not just an exceptional runner. He could throw the ball, and he's shown that the last season and a half. He's on his way, Deepi. So their hands are going to be full. And we're going to hear from J.J. Watt in about an hour or so after practice wraps up. But yeah, this is going to be a tough test for them going against the Ravens offense that picked up right where it left off as far as the regular season went last year.
Yeah, last week against the Chiefs, the Texans defense couldn't get off the field. So they're going to have to make amends and get the tackling in order so that they're not leaving the ball in Lamar Jackson's hand for extended periods of time. So it's gonna have to be good football in all three phases. Offense is gonna have to get clicking. It's not just the defense, and special teams. They're all just gonna have to get working so that they can control time of possession a little bit more. I'd like to see the run game get going on the offensive side. But yeah, on the defensive side, you got to be able to stop the run. And I think it's not so much their backs as much as is Lamar Jackson and the combination of all three. And then, of course, the secondary is going to have its hands full with Hollywood Brown, who put up 101 yards last week. And Mark Andrews, the tight end. They have another big tight end challenge this week. Andrews scored 2 touchdowns against the Browns, and the Texans faced him last year. He scored a touchdown and had like 4 catches for 75 yards. He was near perfect last year when the Texans faced him. So a lot of weapons that they're going to have to defend against this week. It's going to be a big challenge for Texans defense.
We got time for about one more, maybe 2 more questions, but we want to remind folks, let us know where you're calling in from or checking in from. We got Raymond from Rocheron, Tacho from Corpus Christi, Frederick over in France is watching us. Matthew is down south in Far, Texas. That's not FAR, that's PH balance Far. And then even south of him, we've got Mike from Mexico. So thank you to all of you for watching and checking out these water break Wednesdays. I almost said watermelon Wednesdays because Deepi said that in a text.
I want to call this watermelon Wednesdays.
Yeah, water break Wednesday presented by Crown Royal.
Well, during watermelon season, at least, yeah.
Adrian wants to know, do you think PJ Hall should start? He could start in certain situations depending on the personnel that the Texans want to run out there versus the personnel that like the Ravens want to put out or the Steelers wind up doing in a week or two. So he could start. He certainly showed some good things on Thursday night there later in the game. And he's somebody that the Texans, they took a bit of a gamble on because of what has happened in his past, but they think he can really do some things. They're excited about what they saw from him Thursday. And the main thing is they said he's got to keep it up, Deepi.
Yeah, I mean, I think PJ Hall's been a pleasant surprise in camp. They brought him in here. We saw flashes of him in week 1 at Kansas City. He was actually not flashes. He was out there more than I even expected that we would see him. But I think the starting lineup, especially on defense, is just so arbitrary because it just really depends on what personnel. So, I mean, you could say, yeah, he started, but that could change week to week depending on, what front Anthony Weaver wants to put out there.
We're going to wrap things up with Cody, and Cody wants to know, it's a good question. What do you expect from Randall Cobb this week? I think you'll see more of him. Cody. He didn't get involved until very late in the game when it was out of reach for the Texans, but I know that the Texans want more targets his way, and they want to spread the ball around more than they did on Thursday night. So I do think you're going to see more of Randall Cobb, and I think he's going to be a very productive part of this offense. What about you, Deepi?
Yeah, I mean, I was disappointed. I wanted to see more Randall Cobb. He was the guy that I said was someone to watch out for all during training camp because I thought here's the slot receiver that the Texans have always wanted. He's veteran. He looked smooth. He looked like he had chemistry all along with Deshaun Watson, just being the fact that he's played with so many different quarterbacks and he's had so much experience in this league. He had 2 catches last week. We didn't see much of him early, and I was looking for him. You saw him out there and you wanted to see more of him, but I think they get things going if Deshaun can get this offense clicking early. I would fully expect to see more Randall Cobb. I know they want to get him more involved in this offense. They love what he adds to it. He adds another dimension that they didn't have before. Along with you've got your deep guys, and then you've got Randall Cobb right there in the middle. So I would expect that's definitely part of the game plan.
Texans offense has the deep guys that Deepi's talking about. You've got the deep slant this week. It's going to be a fun one, and we want to remind you, 3:25 p.m. kickoff on Sunday, KHOU 11 CBS, and it's going to be a fun one, Texans and Ravens. And make sure you've updated your Houston Texans mobile app. If you haven't, what's going on? Because they've got this arcade. For those of you old timers, it's like going into Tilt, but it's in your living room or in your bedroom or wherever you are with your phone. It's awesome. There's so many games you can play, so many prizes you can win, and so much fun to be had. Deepi, it's always fun talking with you and talking Texans. And for Tyler Marcotte, Amanda Caffey, and the rest of the crew getting this thing going, we thank you. We will see you again next time. And this has been a Water Break Wednesday presented by Crown Royal. Take care and go Texans.